Today we're working on an old courthouse chair. This would be an old chair that came from an old witness stand. This would have came out of an old courthouse. The courthouse was built sometime around the 1880s, 1890s. The courthouse was tore down back in the 50s, early 60s. This chair could date back to around the 1880s. The town was built by English contractors from Yorkshire, England. They came to America and built the town. So this chair probably has Yorkshire English heritage. This chair was thrown out in the trash. Somebody had it in storage, and we got the wood panels on the side. These are the thin style panels. Then we've got the thick arms, and this chair has the rolling arms that kind of rolls up the back. It looks like it was probably 1890s when it was produced. So we're going through and we're taking off all the extra hardware that's been put on it from over the years. There's been a lot of modifications done to the chair, and so we're working on bringing the chair back together the way it would have been originally. So I'm going to show you a trick on taking stuff off. So we had a piece of this is a piece of tongue and groove flooring that somebody has cut, and they had nailed it into the back, trying to make a support, but to put it on crooked, and it went on the back there. And so I'm going to show you how to get these off. If there's any extra wood nailed into a chair, what you will do is the board will be nailed on. We're going to flip it this way. But the trick to getting this type of wood off is you take you an old-timey square and you wiggle it out to where you can get it up under the board. And once you get it to where it's poking out the other side, you keep going until you get it out to where it's on the other side. Once you get it to the other side, you get just enough room to where you can get your screwdriver up underneath it, and you work each one of these nails. And once you work each one of these nails, you'll slowly work it out, but it takes a lot of time. But you're pressing against this metal square, so you're not scarring the back of this. The back of this will not have no scarring in it whatsoever. Now, if you go in here and you start prying where these nail holes is, if you start prying like this, you're going to damage the backboard on your chair. You don't want to damage what's original. Now, stuff that's been added, like in the 1920s, like this old piece of tongue and groove flooring or siding, it don't matter if you damage it. But now, you don't want to damage the back of your chair. Now, these blocks is original. You can see the age. You can see the nails. Now you can tell that they are original. Now here was another thing that we came across when redoing this chair, is they had a board that came across from side to side. Now this was added in the 1920s, between 1909 and 1920, because we can tell by the brass screws and the heads on the screws. This is just a regular sawmill board. This is another way we can tell this is not furniture wood. Now when they screwed it in here, they was trying to brace the bottom of the chair on both sides, making a cross beam going across. But what that done is they didn't get the measurements right. So they pulled it loose here, and they pulled it loose here. So what we had to do is take this cross beam back out that goes all the way across the center of the chair. Now we're going to have to take all this apart and work these wooden dowels. Now these wooden dowels, looks like they're broke. Looks like they're cracked and broke, so we're going to have to take these out, put new dowels in, drill the old ones out. This is how you would put a bottom in an old chair. Now another thing, the corner block has been cracked from where they spreaded this. So here is the corner block that went in the corner. So it cracked this corner block. What we'll have to do is we'll have to glue this block back together, and then once we glue it together, then we'll take the measurements on it and we'll put it on a fresh piece of oak and cut us a brand new one. Measure the nail holes and try to nail it back in the same holes if we can. But this was all done by this board going across the center, and you can see where it's completely cracked. This. Now they have cracked a little bit on this back one, and they have put brass screws in. I took the brass screws out. The brass screws usually dates between 1909, 1920, could be even early 30s. But this chair was mostly assembled by using the wood peg method and putting dowels in it. Now right here we can see there's nail holes right here. So what they've done is they've took out the board that's went in here that the seat's laid on. They've taken it out and tried to put a cross beam upright in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to refabricate these holes right here and use them to mark in, and we're going to cut us a little block of wood, put us 2 more small nails back in, and make another block to match this, but we're going to make a rectangular one so the side of the seat will have something to set on the sides. Now the corners is where it would set down in, but then you would have your center block in here to reinforce the center. And you can see they've taken it out over here on this side as well. Now I don't know exactly what style of bottom they would have put in this type of chair, but this is a very odd style chair that I've not worked on before. It's got a round back, it's a very tall chair. On the inside, the arms is very tall. It's probably Old English origins. I'm not real sure what kind of bottom has went in this chair, but we're going to try to find pictures and a way to get this bottom put back in originally. But this is how you would bring an old chair back. Now the screw holes between the sides, you'll see there's holes here and holes here. These holes will have to be filled. Put a wooden dowel in, dowel it in, fill it up, cover it, you'll never know it. Now another thing is these chairs sometime in the early 1900s has had an L-shaped bracket made and put underneath because the wood glue has came loose on the inside. When the glue gets old and breaks down, the chair becomes wobbly, so people start nailing and tacking these braces in. we're going to take these braces off, and we're going to go back in and we're going to glue all these joints back, and then we won't need these braces anymore. As you can see, they've put them on the back legs on the inside. But this style of chair wouldn't have originally had any screws, but only had tacks and wooden dowels assembling it. That's how we know it's been modified sometime in the early 1900s. Now, another thing is we've got a broken dowel under here. It's got two dowels. We got one that's broken here. We still got one to go by right here. But you can see this whole panel is shaking. So we got to tear all this down, fix all that, and that's how you start with an antique chair, is by taking off the layers of modifications over the century that's been done on them. Then once you take it down to its original state, then you can start repairing the main pieces that holds the chair together. You can see here we've got a wood dowel here, and we've got one here. The rest of this is just dirt and dust from over the years. We'll have to go in and brush this out, clean it, take it all apart. We may even have to put glue in here on these panels, where these panels fits inside this little tongue grooved notch. But this is how you would start an old chair that's had a lot of modifications done to it. Where this chair's been in a courthouse over the years, there's been a lot of people sat in it. As people got heavier and bigger and fatter, then they've had to modify the chair to hold the weight. Sometimes you'll find extra nails and tacks in some of these chairs. But that's how you would strip one down and start back from scratch and keep it all original and delete the modifications that's been done to it. And that's how I restore a chair. And that will be pretty much this episode right here.